The Silver Diamond. Before we begin this incredible adventure, I want to thank every single one of you for being here. Your support means everything to me, and every view, every like, every comment, and every subscription motivates me to keep creating stories like this one. If you enjoy epic adventures filled with mystery, action, and unforgettable characters, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new story. And if you'd like to help me continue creating even bigger and better content, you can also support me on my Ko-fi page. Every bit of support helps bring more amazing stories to life. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Thousands of years ago, hidden beyond the tallest mountains and surrounded by endless forests, there was a peaceful village known as Barbarian. Very few people even knew it existed. The village was isolated from the kingdoms, cities, and empires that constantly fought one another. While the rest of humanity searched for power, wealth, and conquest, the people of Barbarian chose another path: peace. They refused to join wars. They refused to invade neighboring lands. They believed that every life had value and that true strength came from protecting others rather than destroying them. Generation after generation, they lived quietly among nature. Although they had very few resources, the villagers were remarkably intelligent. They crafted tools from stone, built wooden water systems that carried fresh river water through the village, created simple machines powered by flowing streams, and even designed primitive furnaces capable of melting metals found within nearby hills. Their inventions amazed anyone fortunate enough to witness them, yet they had no desire to share them with the outside world. Life was simple. Children played near the river every morning. Farmers cultivated the fertile fields surrounding the village. Hunters gathered only what was necessary. Blacksmiths worked carefully inside smoky workshops. Every evening, the villagers gathered around massive bonfires where elders shared stories passed down through hundreds of years. To outsiders, Barbarian seemed almost mythical. But even peaceful villages carry hidden pain. Among its people lived a young man named Carb. Unlike the others, Carb rarely smiled. He had been born much smaller than the rest of the children. As he grew older, the difference became even more noticeable. Many children mocked him. Some laughed whenever he tried lifting heavy stones. Others whispered that he would never become a respected worker. Although the adults rarely encouraged such behavior, very few ever stood up for him. The laughter continued year after year. Every insult left another scar inside his heart. Instead of making friends, Carb spent most of his time alone. He wandered through forests. He climbed rocky hills. He explored abandoned caves. He learned to survive without depending on anyone. From the outside, he appeared calm, quiet, harmless, but deep inside, a storm had been growing for years. Every memory of humiliation remained alive within him. Every laugh echoed endlessly inside his mind. Every lonely night strengthened a hatred he never dared reveal. The villagers believed Carb had forgiven them. They were wrong. He simply waited. For what? Even he didn't know. Perhaps fate itself was waiting alongside him. One unusually cold morning, thick clouds covered the sky. The air felt strangely heavy. Birds remained silent. Even the wind seemed to move differently through the trees. Carb grabbed his iron hammer before sunrise, just as he did every week. Mining stone had become part of his routine. The nearby rocky fields often contained useful minerals needed to repair houses and create stronger farming tools. He walked alone through narrow forest paths while the first rays of sunlight slowly pierced the morning mist. Hours passed. Hammer after hammer struck the gray rocks. Dust filled the air. Fragments scattered across the ground. Nothing unusual until clink. A sound unlike any stone he had ever struck echoed beneath his feet. Carb stopped immediately. He frowned. The sound had been metallic. No, even stranger, almost musical. He knelt beside the broken rocks and carefully removed loose fragments with his hands. Something reflected the sunlight, a tiny silver glow. At first, he believed it was ordinary crystal, but as he dug deeper, the object became larger. Its surface was impossibly smooth, perfectly shaped. It looked almost alive. Finally, after several exhausting minutes, he pulled it free. It was about the size of his palm, a flawless diamond, but unlike any diamond that existed on Earth. Instead of being transparent, it shimmered with liquid silver. Its surface constantly shifted as though countless stars moved beneath it. When Carb held it in his hand, it felt warm, almost comforting. A faint pulse traveled through his fingers. His heartbeat suddenly synchronized with it. For a brief second, he thought he heard whispers, soft, unknown, speaking a language no human could understand. Then, silence. Carb looked around. Nobody was nearby, only trees, wind, and endless fields of stone. He carefully wrapped the strange gem inside a piece of cloth before returning to Barbarian. That evening, he showed no one what he had found, not because he feared someone would steal it, because something inside him whispered, "Keep it hidden." For several days, he secretly studied the mysterious object. He scratched it with steel. Nothing happened. He struck it with his hammer. Not a single mark appeared. He exposed it to fire. It remained perfectly cool. He placed it underwater. Instead of sinking, the diamond floated for several seconds before gently lowering itself to the bottom. Nothing about it followed the laws of nature. Eventually, Carb decided to transform the strange stone into a necklace. Using braided leather and a carefully carved wooden frame, he secured the silver diamond close to his chest. The moment he wore it, a strange warmth spread through his entire body. His breathing became slower, his senses sharpened, but the feeling disappeared almost immediately. He convinced himself he had imagined everything. Night arrived. The village became quiet. Families extinguished their lanterns one by one. The moon illuminated Barbarian beneath a blanket of silver light. Carb lay inside his small wooden home, still wearing the necklace. Within minutes, he fell asleep. Then, the diamond awakened. A faint silver glow slowly escaped from its surface. At first, it illuminated only the room, then the walls, then the roof. Yet somehow, no one outside noticed. The light seemed to exist only for Carb. His breathing slowed. His heartbeat echoed louder. The room disappeared. Darkness surrounded him. Countless stars suddenly appeared in every direction. He no longer stood on Earth. He floated through an endless ocean of galaxies. Planets passed beneath him. Nebulas glowed with impossible colors. Massive suns exploded in silent brilliance. Then, one galaxy slowly grew larger than all the others. At its center revolved an advanced civilization unlike anything humanity could imagine. Gigantic cities floated through space. Towering structures stretched higher than mountains. Machines moved without sound. Entire worlds were connected by rings of glowing energy. A single name echoed inside his mind. Circle. Carb had never heard the word before. Yet somehow, he understood it perfectly. Suddenly, towering beings emerged from the light. They looked almost human, but taller, far more elegant. Their skin shimmered like polished silver. Their eyes glowed with bright blue light. Strange symbols floated around their bodies as if reality itself obeyed their thoughts. None of them spoke, yet Carb heard every word inside his mind. The earth, primitive, unclaimed, observation begins. He watched as the beings carefully forged the very diamond hanging around his neck. Not with hammers, not with fire, but with pure energy. The silver crystal floated above an enormous circular machine surrounded by thousands of glowing rings. One of the beings gently raised a hand. The diamond began absorbing unimaginable power. Stars seemed to bend toward it. Time itself slowed. Another being finally spoke. "The silver diamond shall find its bearer. Whoever awakens its true power shall become one of us. Their mind will evolve. Their strength will surpass humanity. Their destiny will no longer belong to Earth." The vision suddenly changed. The diamond was launched into space like a shooting star. It crossed countless galaxies, passed dying suns, escaped black holes, traveled for thousands of years. Finally, it entered Earth's atmosphere. Flames surrounded it. It crashed somewhere deep inside the forests, long before Barbarian had ever existed. The dream wasn't over. Carb watched centuries pass in seconds, Trees grew above the buried diamond. Civilizations rose and disappeared. Empires turned to dust. The mysterious crystal remained hidden beneath the rocks, waiting, waiting for him. As the silver beings slowly turned toward Carb one final time, every one of their glowing blue eyes focused directly on him. Then, together, they whispered a single sentence that echoed across the universe. "You have awakened the silver diamond." The voices echoed through the endless universe until they slowly dissolved into silence. Everything around Carb began to shake. The stars stretched into lines of silver light. The galaxy of Circle faded into darkness. The glowing beings vanished one by one. Only the silver diamond remained, floating before him. It pulsed gently, once, twice. Then its light exploded like a miniature sun. Carb's eyes flew open. He gasped for air as if he had been underwater. The room was completely dark, yet he could clearly see every object around him. Every crack in the wooden walls, every grain of dust floating through the air, every tiny insect crawling across the floor. His heartbeat thundered inside his chest. No, it wasn't only his own heartbeat. He could hear every heartbeat in the village. The old blacksmith sleeping 2 houses away, a crying baby across the river, the horses inside the stable, even birds resting high above the trees. His hearing had become impossibly sharp. Carb slowly stood up. The silver diamond hanging around his neck emitted a soft, silver glow before fading once again. He walked outside. The cool night air touched his face. Everything felt different. The darkness no longer hid anything. His eyes pierced through the shadows as though daylight surrounded him. Far beyond the village, he noticed a deer quietly drinking from the river. Even farther, he could see wolves moving silently between distant trees. Mountains that normally appeared as faint silhouettes now looked incredibly detailed. It was impossible. No human could see this far. Then another sensation overwhelmed him. He closed his eyes. Voices, hundreds of them. Every conversation inside Barbarian echoed within his mind. Tomorrow we harvest the wheat. The weather feels strange. Did you hear about Carb finding unusual stones again? He opened his eyes in shock. His hearing reached beyond anything imaginable. Then his muscles suddenly tightened. Without thinking, he clenched his fist. A nearby boulder cracked. Carb froze. He slowly approached it. It was one of the largest rocks near his home. Normally, it required 4 strong villagers to move. He placed one hand against it. Very gently, he pushed. The enormous stone rolled several meters across the ground as though it weighed almost nothing. Carb stared silently. His breathing became heavier. He wasn't frightened. He smiled. For the first time in years, he smiled. The memories returned immediately. Children laughing, adults ignoring him, the endless humiliation, the loneliness, every insult, every cruel joke. His smile slowly disappeared. "So," he whispered, "they all thought I was weak." The silver diamond gave another faint pulse. A strange warmth spread through his body. It did not force him. It did not command him. But somehow, it encouraged every dark emotion buried inside his heart. Hatred became easier to remember than kindness. Anger became stronger than reason. Every painful memory became crystal clear. Carb spent the following weeks hiding his growing abilities. Each day, he secretly ventured deep into the forest. He lifted massive trees, he outran wild horses, he jumped across cliffs impossible for any human. His skin became tougher than stone. His body never grew tired. Every sunrise revealed another impossible ability. He discovered he could hear storms forming hundreds of kilometers away. He could smell smoke before fires even began. His reflexes became faster than arrows. Even wild animals avoided him. Soon another power awakened. One afternoon, he accidentally stared at a falling hawk. Time slowed. The bird moved through the sky as though floating through water. Leaves drifted almost motionlessly. Drops of rain hung in the air. Carb himself moved freely while everything else seemed frozen. The effect lasted only a few seconds before the world returned to normal. He laughed. Again and again. His confidence grew into arrogance. His arrogance became pride. His pride became something far darker. He no longer viewed himself as one of the villagers. He viewed himself as something greater. One evening, while the people of Barbarian gathered around the central fire celebrating the harvest festival, Carb stood alone on a nearby hill overlooking the village. The laughter carried through the night. Children played, families embraced, music echoed through the air. Once, he wished he could join them. Now, he wished they would all disappear. They never cared. They never defended me. They deserve to know what true fear feels like. The silver diamond flashed, its light reflected inside his eyes. Instead of their normal color, his eyes now glowed with a brilliant pale blue. The next morning, everything changed. Workers entered the nearby quarry only to discover every massive stone had been shattered overnight. No tools, no explosions, simply broken into thousands of pieces. Fear spread quickly. Nobody understood what had happened. The following night, the village's largest watchtower collapsed. Again, no explanation. Then livestock began disappearing. Storage buildings were destroyed. Bridges mysteriously cracked apart. The elders believed an unknown beast had entered the forest. Hunters searched everywhere. They found nothing because the monster lived among them. Carb watched everything from the shadows. Every frightened expression filled him with satisfaction. Weeks turned into months. His attacks became bolder. One evening, he finally stepped into the center of the village while everyone watched. The crowd fell silent. Carb looked different. His posture was confident. His blue, glowing eyes frightened everyone. The silver diamond shined openly around his neck. One elder cautiously stepped forward. "Carb, what happened to you?" He answered calmly. "I finally became what all of you created." Confused whispers spread through the crowd. Another elder raised his hands peacefully. "We don't want trouble." Carb laughed softly. "You never wanted trouble? You only wanted someone weaker than yourselves?" The village chief slowly approached. "If we hurt you in the past, we can make things right." Carb's expression hardened. "No. You had years. You chose silence." The chief sighed sadly. "What do you want?" Carb looked around the village, at every familiar face, at every home, every road, every memory. Then he spoke words that chilled everyone to the bone. "I want you to feel everything I felt." Without warning, he struck the ground. The earth exploded beneath his fist. A massive shockwave raced across the village. Buildings shook violently, windows shattered, people were thrown backwards, trees bent under the force. Panic erupted instantly. Villagers ran in every direction. Children screamed. Parents desperately searched for their families. Carb stood completely still inside the chaos, untouched, unmoved, like a force of nature. The strongest warriors of Barbarian rushed toward him carrying spears and shields. They had trained their entire lives to protect the village. Against ordinary enemies, they were unstoppable. Against Carb, they had no chance. The first spear shattered the moment it touched his skin. The second warrior was gently pushed aside, flying several meters without Carb appearing to use any effort. Another attacked from behind. Carb disappeared. An instant later, he stood several meters away. No one had even seen him move. One by one, every defender fell, not dead, but completely defeated. The villagers finally understood. This was no longer the lonely boy they once ignored. This was something beyond human, something they had never imagined could exist. Fear replaced hope. The elders ordered everyone to evacuate into the surrounding forests, while they remained behind to delay Carb. The old chief looked into Carb's glowing eyes one final time. "I still believe there is goodness inside you." Carb stared silently. For the briefest moment, the memories of his childhood returned. A tiny flicker of hesitation crossed his face. Then another pulse came from the silver diamond. The hesitation disappeared. His eyes burned brighter than before. "No," he whispered. "The boy you knew died." Thunder echoed above Barbarian. Dark clouds covered the sky. Rain began falling. Thus began the conflict that would be remembered not for days, not for months, but for years. A war between one man empowered by an ancient alien artifact and the very people who had once called him family. The war changed Barbarian forever. The peaceful village that had avoided conflict for generations was forced to fight for its very survival. The first year was filled with fear. Every attempt to stop Carb ended in failure. The villagers built stronger walls. Carb destroyed them. They dug deep trenches. He crossed them with a single leap. They forged stronger weapons. None could even scratch his skin. As time passed, Carb became even stronger. The silver diamond continued evolving inside him. Its energy slowly merged with his body until it became impossible to tell where the human ended and the alien power began. His speed became impossible to follow. His strength could split entire hills apart. His senses stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Sometimes, at night, his glowing blue eyes could be seen standing alone on the highest cliffs overlooking Barbarian, watching, waiting. The villagers never surrendered. Children who had escaped during the first attacks grew into skilled warriors. Engineers designed better defenses. Hunters became scouts. Blacksmiths forged stronger armor than ever before. Although they knew they could never truly defeat Carb, they refused to abandon the village their ancestors had built. Years passed. Neither side truly won. Neither side truly lost. Carb ruled the surrounding forests like an unstoppable guardian of destruction, while the remaining villagers defended what little remained of their home. Yet, deep inside Carb, something had begun to change. Every time he looked toward the village, memories resurfaced. He remembered fishing in the river as a child. He remembered helping farmers gather crops. He remembered his mother's smile before she passed away. He remembered the warmth of the village fires during winter nights. Those memories grew stronger each year. The hatred that had once consumed him slowly began fighting against something he thought had disappeared forever, his conscience. Then, everything changed. One silent night, the silver diamond suddenly shined brighter than it ever had before. The sky above Barbarian trembled. Stars disappeared one after another. A massive circular light slowly formed among the clouds. It stretched wider than the entire village. The earth shook violently. Animals fled in terror. A deafening vibration echoed through the mountains. The villagers rushed outside and looked upward in horror. Something enormous emerged from the clouds. It was unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. A gigantic silver spacecraft floated silently above the valley. Its surface reflected the moonlight like liquid metal. Towering pillars of blue energy surrounded it. Thousands of glowing symbols covered its hull. No smoke, no engines, no sound, only silence. The silence was more terrifying than any explosion. Moments later, hundreds of smaller ships descended toward the forests surrounding Barbarian. Doors slowly opened. The same silver beings from Carb's dream stepped onto Earth. Their glowing blue eyes scanned everything around them. They had finally arrived. The silver diamond around Carb's neck suddenly released a powerful beam of light toward the sky. The alien beings immediately turned toward him. One stepped forward. Without speaking aloud, its voice echoed inside everyone's minds. Bearer of the silver diamond, you have fulfilled your evolution. Earth is now ready. It will become another world under the authority of Serkul. Carb remained silent. The alien continued. Your species has served its purpose. Stand beside us. Together, we shall reshape this planet. For the first time since discovering the silver diamond, Carb felt fear, real fear. He looked beyond the aliens toward Barbarian, the same village he had spent years attacking. Children were hiding behind their parents. The elderly stood together despite knowing they could not fight. Young warriors raised their weapons even though they knew they were hopelessly outmatched. None of them ran. They were ready to die protecting their home. At that moment, Carb finally understood something. If the aliens conquered Earth, there would be no Barbarian, no forests, no rivers, no people, nothing would remain. His hatred suddenly seemed meaningless. He had spent years trying to destroy the village. Now someone else intended to erase it completely. The silver diamond pulsed once more. But this time, Carb grabbed it tightly. "I won't let you." The alien commander tilted its head. "You refuse your creators?" Carb looked toward the village. Slowly, he removed the silver diamond from around his neck. The aliens stared silently. "I was never yours. I am human." The commander raised one glowing hand. "Then you will perish with them." Within seconds, hundreds of alien warriors charged toward Barbarian. Without hesitation, Carb leaped directly into their path. The impact of his landing shattered the ground. The greatest battle Earth had ever witnessed had begun. Blue energy beams illuminated the night. Mountains trembled beneath enormous explosions. Entire forests shook from the force of every collision. Carb fought like never before, not for revenge, not for power, but for the people he had once hated. The villagers watched in disbelief. The very man who had terrorized them for years now stood alone against an entire alien army. One after another, alien warriors fell. Massive machines crashed into the mountains. Energy weapons exploded across the battlefield. Carb pushed himself beyond every limit. Even without wearing the silver diamond, traces of its power still flowed through him, but the commander remained overwhelmingly powerful. Their final battle lasted until sunrise. Every strike shook the valley. Every collision echoed across distant mountains. Finally, Carb understood there was only one way to stop them. The silver diamond lay on the ground nearby, still overflowing with unimaginable energy. He looked toward the village one last time. Children, families, friends he had never truly known, people he had blamed for his suffering. He smiled, a genuine smile. Perhaps his first real one. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Then he picked up the silver diamond. Using every remaining ounce of strength, Carb charged directly toward the alien commander. The commander realized his intention. It was too late. Carb wrapped both arms around the alien and unleashed every drop of energy stored inside the silver diamond. The diamond began cracking. Silver light burst across the sky. The mountains disappeared beneath blinding brilliance. For one endless second, everything became pure white. Then, silence. The explosion destroyed the silver diamond forever. The alien commander vanished. Every remaining alien ship lost power. One by one, they retreated into space. Within minutes, the sky was empty. The invasion had ended. When the light finally faded, Carb was gone. Only fragments of silver crystal rested upon the ground. The villagers searched for him for days. They searched every mountain, every forest, every river, but Carb was never found. Some believed he had died. Others believed the silver diamond had carried him somewhere beyond the stars. No one ever discovered the truth. Years later, the people rebuilt their home. This time, they built it together. They taught every child the story of Carb, not as a monster, not as a hero, but as a man who allowed hatred to control his life, and who found redemption through the greatest sacrifice imaginable. To honor both the village and the man who saved it, the elders decided that Barbarian would forever carry a new name. From that day forward, the village became known as Carb. Its story spread across generations. People traveled from distant lands simply to hear the legend of the silver diamond and the warrior who gave everything to protect the home he once tried to destroy. And perhaps, on clear nights when the stars shine a little brighter than usual, some villagers still believe they can see a faint silver light crossing the sky, watching over Carb. Thank you so much for taking the time to experience this story. If you enjoyed this adventure, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support inspires me to create even more original stories filled with mystery, action, and unforgettable adventures. And if you'd like to help me continue bringing these stories to life, you can support me on my Ko-fi page. Every bit of support, no matter how small, helps me keep creating. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I'll see you in the next adventure.